Good day everyone, welcome to Light Graphics. In this short video, I want to explain to us the meaning of typography. So I want us to understand the meaning of typography and the meaning of font, typeface, so that when we are doing our designs, we'll be able to know how to use them. So when we talk about typography, typography is one of the strongest pillars of graphic design. It influences how a message is seen, felt, and understood. Choosing the right font can transform a design. It can transform a design. When we choose the right font, it can transform a design. So we need to understand this, that when you choose the right font is very important when you are doing your design. And we should also understand that the kind of font you use when you are doing your design matters a lot. Yes, it matters a lot. When you're doing a birthday design, the kind of font you use for a birthday design is different from the kind of font you use for a church design. So in this short video, I want to explain to us how we can be able to identify which kind of font to use when we are doing our design. Now, what is a font? A font is a specific style, weight, or size of a typeface. A font is a specific style, weight, or type of a typeface. Now you want to be asking, what is a typeface? Now a typeface is different from a font. A typeface is different from a font. A typeface is the overall design style of the letters, okay? For example, now if you want to get a car, for example, you want to get a car, we have different kinds of car, we have different types. You can get Toyota, you can get Camry, you can get everything. They are all cars, but they have different names. So let's just imagine that the typeface is referred to as that car. Toyota, Camry, and the others, they are referred to as fonts. So a typeface is the overall design style of the letter, okay? We can also refer to it as the visual family or parents. Let's say, okay, typeface is just like the parent, while the font are the children that are under the parent. Did you get it? So we have so many examples of typefaces. We have vertical, we have Times New Roman, we have Poppins, we have Montserrat, we have Garamond. So there are many typefaces. Okay, let me just use this as this other example. We can also refer to as typeface as a playlist that contains different kind of songs. When you have a playlist, a playlist is something that contains different kind of songs. So that playlist is referred to as typeface, while the songs under that playlist, that particular playlist, is referred to as font, okay? So I've explained to us before that a font is a specific version of a typeface. Is a specific version of a typeface, okay? So for example, now a typeface can be Poppins. Font can be Poppins Bold, Poppins Light, Poppins Italy. Do we get it? So you can use one typeface in your design. When you are doing your design, you can decide, okay, I want to use just one typeface in this design. So when you want to use Poppins, you can decide to use, okay, Poppins Bold and Poppins Light Italy to bring out the beauty of your design. So let's understand that there's difference between a typeface and also a font, okay? So that when we are doing our design, you begin to ask yourself, think like a designer. Okay, this design I want to do, which typeface will I use? If I have decided the typeface I will use, okay, what are the fonts I will use under this typeface? So we need to be able to differentiate between a typeface and a font. So let's take note of that as we move forward in this short video. Okay, so why do we have to why do we think fonts matter in design? Why do they matter in design? Number one, readability. Okay, so that people can see. When you design, people should be able to read what is on your design. Okay, it's only on few occasions that you design and they don't read. They don't want to read, and it depends on the mood you want to give to that design, okay? So we have readability, we have emotion and mood, we have brand personality, okay? We have brand personality. When you want to design for a brand, the font you use. Some brands, they have the fonts they use for their design. So as graphic designers, we should be able to identify the font they use. So if you are designing for any brand and they have the font they use, you have to, and that is also applicable to colors too. Okay. Also, fonts are important because of professionalism. Professionalism. Your design is only as strong as your typography. Your design is only as strong as your typography. Now we have different categories of fonts that I want us to know. We have different categories of fonts. We have serif font. We have serif font, okay? These fonts have small feet or strokes at the end of letters. So when you want to identify a serif font, you always see strokes at the end of letter. For example, we have Times New Roman, Times New Roman. We have Georgia, we have Times New Roman. There are many examples. So when you go online, you just search for serif font. You will see so many examples there. So you can use them for formal, traditional, or trustworthy designs. You can use them for formal, traditional, or trustworthy designs. For example, when you look at your newspaper, you notice that in the newspaper, they use more of Times New Roman. They use more of Times New Roman. So we have serif. Serif is with strokes. The next category of fonts we have is sans-serif font. Sans-serif font, they are the ones without strokes. Okay, just clean letters without strokes. They don't have any strokes in them. So when you want to do your design and you want to make use of sans-serif font, you have to understand that they are without strokes. Without strokes, okay? For example, we have Helvetica, we have Montserrat, we have Futura, we have Poppins. I'm using this font because they are fonts that we use daily. They are fonts that we use daily. I'm using these examples because they are what we use daily, okay? So examples of sans serif font, we have Helvetica, we have Montserrat, we have Futura, we have Poppins, okay? And we have many others. We have many others, okay? They're also used for branding, tech, social, or media posts. Even when you're creating websites, you can use sans-serif font. The next thing we have is script font. Script font. This script font is just like our handwriting. Fonts that mimic handwriting or calligraphy. So they are just like our handwriting, okay? You see them, script fonts are always different on our designs. They are always script different. So they are mostly used when you want to apply creativity. When you want to apply creativity or you want a different tone on your designs. So you use script font, okay? And they are always beautiful. You have so many types of script fonts. We have Pacifico, we have Great Vibes, we have Alora. So we have so many examples of script fonts that you can use, and you can identify them on our wedding designs, wedding invites, fashion designs, branding. You can see that we use script fonts in most of these designs, okay? So all you need to do is when you want to design maybe for a wedding invitation, you have the idea and you have the idea. You cannot be using sans serif for a wedding design. You know that you make use of script font so that it will bring out the beauty. And ensure that when you are using script font, avoid long paragraphs. Avoid long paragraph. You want to use script font and you are using like 2 lines, even 1 line sometimes. So you use them when you are saying short, when you are writing short information on your design. But when your designs are having so many information, you have to avoid the use of script font because the reason is because they reduce readability. You cannot, most times you have to struggle to read them. You have to struggle to read them. So if your design is not related to maybe related to a wedding invite, branding, fashion, please, you have to avoid using script font. The next category of font we have is display font. Display font. Display font. So they are decorative and attention grabbing font. Decorative and attention-grabbing font, okay? So they are best for headlines, posters, ads. Examples, we have Impact, we have Lobsters, we have Budgie. There are so many examples of this font. So they are used most times when you want to do headlines, maybe headings. They bring out beauty in your design. You want to do a particular design and you want something that will catch their attention. You see some church designs, you will see that the theme sometimes is always bold. So you can also use display font. You can use display font, and also ensure that you don't use too many display fonts. Okay, using too many display fonts make your work look messy. So avoid the use of too many display fonts. Okay, we the next category of font we have is monospace font. Monospace font, each letters occupy equal space. We also have to understand that we have a category of font that is called monospace font. It is best for maybe you are doing a tech design, you are doing ritual design, so you have to understand all this, okay? We have example. We have example is consolas, we have JetBrains, we have Carrier, we have Mono. These are examples of monospace font. Monospace fonts, sorry. So let's take note of that. These are the different um, categories of fonts that we have. Remember, they have different typeface. So when you identify your typeface, we have so many fonts under a particular typeface. Take note of that, and anytime you're designing, you ask yourself, which typeface am I going to use for this design? Am I going to use the font under this typeface? So I'm going to pick another typeface and use another font. So we have to identify that aspect also. Identify that aspect also. So let's take note of that. And another thing I want us to know in this short tutorial is this. We must make sure that we don't use too many fonts on a design. Yes, I just remember that. Make sure you don't use too many fonts on a design. Too many fonts on the design, okay? So how do you identify what to do or choosing the right font in a design? Number one, limit fonts to 2 or 3 per design, okay? When you are designing, ensure you use 2 to 3 fonts on a particular design. If you are just starting the designing journey, ensure you limit yourself to only 2 fonts. Yes, for those that are just starting, ensure you limit yourself to only 2 fonts. But for those that are now doing well in the graphic design journey, you can use 2 to 3 per design. Okay, and another thing you should understand is less is more. Less is more. Don't pack too many informations together. Pack all your fonts together. Make sure there is balance. Okay, make sure there is balance when choosing your font. Okay, and another thing you need to know is know your audience. I'm talking about the tips for choosing the right fonts. Know your audience. Let me start with this one. Know your audience. Who are those that you are designing for? Are you designing for the youth? Are you designing for organization? Are you designing for children? Are you designing for birthday? Are you designing? So you have to identify your audience. Identify your audience. After identifying your audience, match the brand personality. Match the brand personality. I've said it before now. Make sure that you know the, the brand personality so that you can know the kind of font you will use. So that you can know the kind of fonts you will use. I've explained this. Limit your fonts to 2 to 3 per design. Limit your font to 2 to 3 per design, okay? To avoid cluster. Number 4 is check readability. When you finish your design, ask yourself, can I read all this design? Is there anything that is difficult to read on this design? So once you notice that there's anything that is difficult for you personally as a graphic designer to read, you have to make adjustments. Make adjustments, okay? Another thing is don't stretch or distort font. It kills professionality. Don't stretch font. You know, I always tell people when you design, you don't stretch your image. Don't stretch anything. Don't stretch there. It doesn't make your work look professional. It doesn't make your work look professional. So let's ensure we don't stretch our designs. Anything we are doing during design, let's not stretch them, okay? Now, we have some fonts that I'm going to give to us as a beginner. These are the fonts that they are very good, and every designers, they use them. So you can take note of them. Number 1, we have Montserrat. Montserrat for modern branding. We have Poppins. We have Playfair Display. We have Laura. We have Barbie's Liu. We have Open Sans. We have Open Sans. These are fonts that you need to take note of and use them. And use them as you do your designs. Use them as you do your design, okay? Now, common mistakes we need to avoid. as graphic designers or as a beginner in the graphic design journey. Number one, using too many font styles. When using too many font styles, don't use too many font styles, please. When you're doing your design, avoid the use of too many font styles. You want to join Poppins, you want to join Montserrat, you want to join Laura, you want to join Barbie's New, you want to join everything together on one particular design. Avoid that. Avoid that. Now, number two, choosing fonts that don't match the message. Choosing fonts that don't match the message. If you are doing a wedding invite or a wedding design, for example, you know you are supposed to make use of script font. If you now decide to use only Poppins, for example, you are picking only Poppins, or you want to use only Montserrat to do your everything on that design, you are not going to see the beauty of that design. Choose fonts that choosing fonts that don't match the message is something you need to avoid. Another thing is poor spacing. Poor spacing, poor spacing, poor spacing. Ensure you avoid this poor spacing. Okay. Don't, for example, you want to write, you are writing something. The space between the first line and the second line is now too much. Avoid that. Avoid that, okay? Overusing decorative fonts. Please, let's avoid overusing decorative fonts, okay? The next thing we have is low contrast between text and background. Ensure you understand that you don't use dark background on dark fonts, or you are using make sure that when you are using your background, if you use a dark background, what you are having on it should be light. When you have a light background, what you are having on it should be dark. So you have to take note of that. Not aligning text properly. You just arrange all your text anyhow you like. So this is another thing that you must try to avoid. When you must align, and it is important that I'm going to do a video on alignment. Please, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, subscribe and watch my next video on alignment so that you will understand the meaning of alignment. There is need for us to be able to align our text properly, okay? Using random free fonts without checking quality. You just decide to pick any fonts to use. No, have what to use, have what to use. Have what to use. For me now, all the fonts that I've been mentioning so far, they are the fonts that I used to use. There are fonts that I used to use, and I've been getting results using those fonts. I've been getting results using those fonts. So I believe